Kia ora, and welcome to the Half Marathon Hub Weekly, your weekly roundup of half marathon running from around New Zealand. I'm Coach Ray from Quick Kiwi Coaching and www.halfmarathontraining.co.nz. Each Monday, we'll look back at what's been happening around the New Zealand half marathon scene, look ahead to the races coming up, and most importantly, spend some time talking about how you can become a better half marathon runner. There's plenty to get into this week. We've got results from the Otago Ale Trail, to Miro's Tussle and the Woodbourne Half Marathon, plus some results to catch up on from Auckland. Then we're going to spend some time on the three areas of your half marathon training. Firstly, we'll look at tempo running and why moderate doesn't mean easy, but it doesn't mean threshold either. Then I'm going to explain my level 1 through level 5 running intensity system, because understanding how hard you're supposed to run is fundamental to getting the intended benefit from your training. And finally, we're going to talk about something runners often spend far less time preparing than their legs: your mind. What are you actually going to do when your half marathon gets difficult? We've also got an important point for runners targeting Queenstown and Canterbury half marathons, with new training builds beginning next Monday. So let's get into it. The weekend results. Let's start with the Otago Ale Trail half marathon. There was some close racing at the front of the men's field. Max Watson took the victory in 1 hour, 23 minutes and 14 seconds. Bryce Steele was only 51 seconds behind him, finishing second in 1 hour, 24 minutes and 5 seconds. With Aaron Eales third in 1:26.51. In the women's race, Talia Room took the win with a strong 1 hour, 29 minutes and 42 seconds. Alyssa Mayerl was second in 1:42.32, and Kylie McClay completed the podium in 1:43.15. Congratulations to everyone who raced. We also had the Miro Tussle trail run, and as I often mention, when we're talking about trail half marathons, be careful comparing these finish times directly with road half marathon performances. 21 kilometres is 21 kilometres, but that doesn't mean every half marathon presents the same physical challenge. Elevation matters, the surface matters, technical terrain matters, weather matters. So judge a trail performance within the context of the course, rather than simply comparing the finishing time with what someone might run on a flat road. In the men's race, the results list Barnes Tom as the winner in 1 hour, 35 minutes and 23 seconds. Samuel Bremer was second in 1 hour, 37.54, with Tom Wooterson third in 1 hour, 46 minutes, 59 seconds. For the woman, Maria Bentley won in 2 hours, 3 minutes and 37 seconds. Scarlett Anderson finished second in 2 hours, 7 minutes 30, with Georgia Perry third in 2 hours, 10:38. Well done everyone who tackled Miro. And at the Woodbourne Half Marathon, David Dawkin won the men's race in 1 hour, 25 minutes and 8 seconds. Bill Small was second in 1:26.38, with Alex Robertson third in 1 hour, 28 minutes, 38 seconds. For the woman, Tess Wells took the victory in 1 hour, 43.37. Mary Lister finished second in 1 hour, 48 minutes, 19 seconds, and Tori Armstrong was third in 1 hour, 49 minutes and 6 seconds. Congratulations to everyone in Woodbourne. Catching up with Auckland. We've also got one set of results to catch up on. When we recorded last week's hub, the results from race 6 of the Sri Chinmoy Auckland Series at Auckland Domain hadn't been finalised. Rather than give you provisional results, we waited. We can now confirm the podiums. Ewan Morris won the men's half marathon in 1 hour, 34 minutes and 14 seconds. Mark Andrew was second in 1 hour, 34 minutes and 18 seconds, with Rex Hep Ajvajar, if I've pronounced that even close to how it should be, was third in 1 hour, 38 minutes and 5 seconds. In the women's race, Kirsten Milne won in 1 hour, 47 minutes and 37 seconds. Larissa Wildsmith second in 1 hour, 59.15, and Lisa Harris third in 2 hours, 6 minutes and 6 seconds. So congratulations to everyone who raced at Auckland Domain. Training focus, the 2015 tempo run. Now let's move into this week's training. And I want to start with a workout that's very simple on paper, the 2015 tempo run. Essentially, after you warm up, you've got a sustained 20-minute level 3 effort, followed by recovery, and then another 15 minutes at level 3. That's 35 minutes of quality tempo running. There aren't complicated repetitions to remember. There aren't constant changes of pace. But that's actually part of what makes this session valuable, because the challenge is control. What is tempo running? Tempo is what I classify as level 3, moderate/tempo intensity. It's clearly harder than your normal level 2 aerobic running. Your breathing is elevated. You're working, but you're not running at threshold, and you're certainly not running at VO2 max. And that distinction matters. One of the common problems runners have is that once a workout is labelled as a quality session, they assume the harder they run it, the better the training will be. That's not how good training works. If I've prescribed level 3 and you run at level 4, you haven't done a better level 3 session. You've done a different workout. The first 20 minutes are where discipline matters. Think about that opening 20-minute block. You're warmed up. You're feeling fresh. You might be running well, and it can be tempting to start pushing the pace. You might even look at your watch and think, I could definitely go faster than this. Good. That doesn't mean you should. Remember, there's another 15-minute tempo effort still to come. If you turn the opening 20 minutes into a threshold test, that final 15 minutes is going to become considerably harder than intended. Instead, I'd like you to finish the first block feeling like you've done some quality work, but knowing you've still got another good effort available. Why does this matter for the half marathon? Because their ability to stay controlled while running strongly is incredibly relevant to half marathon racing. A half marathon rewards patience, it rewards aerobic endurance, and it rewards your ability to sustain a strong effort without constantly crossing into an intensity that becomes unsustainable. Tempo running helps develop that. It sits in the useful space between comfortable aerobic running and harder threshold pace. We're putting some pressure on your aerobic system, but we're doing it at an intensity that allows us to accumulate a substantial amount of quality running without the recovery cost of a much harder workout. And that's an important principle. Don't judge the quality of a workout by how destroyed you feel afterwards. The goal isn't to crawl back through your front door and congratulate yourself because you're exhausted. The goal is to create the training stimulus we wanted and then recover sufficiently to continue training. Understanding level 1 to level 5. And this brings us perfectly to the next topic. If you've been following my training for a while, you will have heard me refer to level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, and level 5. Let's talk about what those actually mean, because if you understand intensity, you understand one of the fundamental building blocks of your training. Level 1, recovery. Level 1 is very easy. This isn't the time to worry about pace. The purpose is recovery, circulation, and gentle movement. You should be able to talk easily. You should feel completely under control. And if your watch tells you you're running slower than you would normally like, that's fine. There's no prize for winning a recovery run. In fact, running your recovery sessions too hard can undermine the very reason they're in the program. Level 2, aerobic endurance. Level 2 is where a large amount of your half marathon training happens. This is your comfortable, conversational aerobic running. For many runners, it's also the intensity they struggle to respect. Why? Because it can feel too easy. And when someone is motivated to improve, running slowly can sometimes feel as though they're not really training. But aerobic endurance is fundamental to half marathon performance. Your long runs will contain a lot of level 2. Your regular aerobic running will contain a lot of level 2. And being disciplined enough to keep that training appropriately easy allows you to accumulate volume while still recovering for the sessions where we deliberately want you to run harder. If every run becomes moderately hard, you can end up in that frustrating middle ground where your easy running is too hard and your hard running isn't as good as it could be. Level 3, moderate/tempo. Then we reach level 3. This is where our 2015 tempo run sits. You're no longer cruising. You're working at a moderate, purposeful intensity. Your breathing has increased. Conversation becomes more limited, but you remain controlled. For the half marathon runner, this can be a very useful intensity because it develops your ability to sustain stronger aerobic running. Level 4, threshold. Level 4 is comfortably hard. Now we're getting into threshold work. Your breathing is significantly elevated. Talking becomes difficult. And we're operating at an intensity you couldn't simply maintain indefinitely. We've recently talked about sessions such as 4 by 5 minutes at level 4. Again, the goal is control. If level 4 is prescribed, don't push every repetition into level 5 simply because you can. Level 5, very hard, VO2 max. Level 5 is very hard, VO2 max territory. Because the intensity is high, the efforts tend to be shorter. We're targeting aerobic power. This is a valuable training tool, but it's only one tool. And level 5 isn't somehow the best level simply because it's the highest number. That would be like saying the biggest hammer in a toolbox is always the best tool. It depends on the job. The big lesson about intensity. This is probably the most important thing I want you to remember from this session or this section. Higher isn't automatically better. Every intensity has a purpose. If today's program asks for level 2, run level 2. If it asks for level 3, run level 3. If it asks for level 4, run level 4. The discipline isn't always pushing harder. Sometimes the discipline is not pushing harder. Good training comes from applying the correct stimulus consistently over time. Your half marathon is mental as well. Now let's move away from the physiology for a moment because you can have an excellent training program. You can complete your long runs. You can nail your tempo sessions. You can improve your threshold. You can taper beautifully. And then you can get to kilometre 16 or 17 of your half marathon and things become difficult. What happens next? That's where your mental strategy matters. Don't wait for the crisis. A lot of runners don't think about mental strategy until they're already struggling. They're halfway through a race, the pace is becoming harder, their legs hurt, and suddenly they're trying to invent a psychological strategy on the spot. I'd rather you think about this before race day. You should expect difficult moments. It's not being negative, it's being prepared. A half marathon is long enough that you're probably going to experience periods where maintaining your effort becomes uncomfortable. So decide in advance how you're going to respond. Break the race into smaller pieces. 21.1 kilometres can feel like an enormous distance when you're tired, particularly if you're at kilometre 14 and your brain starts doing the maths. You've still got 7 kilometres to go. Don't worry about those 7 kilometres. Deal with what's immediately in front of you. Get to the next kilometre marker. Get to the next aid station. Get to the top of the hill. Pick out a runner ahead and gradually work towards them. Then reset. You're still running the same 21.1 kilometres, but mentally you've turned one large problem into a series of small, manageable tasks. Control the controllables. This is another very useful race day principle. You can't control the weather. You can't control the headwind, and you can't control the hills. You can't control whether another runner comes flying past you, and you can't change what happens 5 kilometres ago, or what happened 5 kilometres ago. So don't waste your mental energy fighting those things. Bring your attention back to what you can control. Your effort, your breathing, your posture, your cadence, your fueling, and your response. If you're struggling, go through a simple checklist. Relax your shoulders. Check that you're not overstriding. Take your planned fuel, get your breathing under control, focus on the next small target, then keep moving forward. A bad kilometre isn't a bad race. This is another thing worth remembering. If you have a difficult kilometre, don't immediately catastrophise. You might feel terrible at kilometre 15, but considerably better again at kilometre 17. It happens. Sometimes there's a hill. Sometimes there's a headwind. Sometimes you've simply hit a rough patch. The mistake is turning "this kilometre feels difficult" into "my race is over." These are two very different statements. Mental resilience isn't pretending that running a half marathon is easy. It's recognizing when things become difficult and having a useful response ready. How these three topics fit together. And once again, there's a common thread running through this week's coaching: control. During the 20-15 tempo run, control your intensity. Don't turn level 3 into level 4 because you're feeling good. Across your wider training program, understand that what level 1 through level 5 are designed to achieve, and respect the purpose of each session. And during your half marathon, control what you can control when things become difficult. You don't need to make every training session spectacular. You don't need every kilometre of your race to feel fantastic. Half marathon performance is built from good decisions repeated consistently. 12 weeks to Queenstown. Now, if you're racing the Queenstown Half Marathon, we've reached an important milestone. Next Monday, the 24th of August, marks the beginning of our dedicated 12-week Queenstown Half Marathon training programs. And we've got 5 different levels available through Hub Plus: Starter, Builder, Improver, Performance, and Elite. That's important because a runner preparing for their first half marathon shouldn't necessarily be following the same program as an experienced runner chasing a significant personal best. The program needs to meet where you are now and progressively prepare you for where you want to be on race day. If Queenstown is your goal, this is your final week before the structured 12-week build begins. Get yourself organised. Know which program you're following and arrive at Monday ready to begin. 16 weeks to Canterbury. We've also got another important training countdown beginning next Monday. If you're targeting the Canterbury Half Marathon, our 16-week programs start on 24th of August as well. Again, we've got Starter, Builder, Improver, Performance, and Elite. 16 weeks gives us a little more runway. That means you don't need to rush immediately into highly race-specific training. We've got time to develop the foundations, progressively build the appropriate training qualities, and then become increasingly specific as race day gets closer. That's what good periodization is about. You're not simply trying to get fitter every week. You're trying to develop the right fitness at the right time so that everything comes together on race day. If you're targeting either Queenstown or Canterbury, you can find the Hub Plus programs through www.halfmarathontraining.co.nz. Coming up this week, the New Zealand Half Marathon calendar is considerably quieter this weekend. The main event we're watching is Forest Run Fest at Bottle Lake Forest in Christchurch on a Sunday. The longest event is the big one, covering approximately 21 kilometres. And because we're heading onto the trails again, here's the advice I'd give runners. Race by effort rather than becoming obsessed with kilometre pace. Your pace on trail can change dramatically because of terrain, surface, corners, and conditions. That doesn't mean your effort has changed by the same amount. Allow the course to dictate some of that pace. Stay controlled early, and remember something we've talked about several times in the Hub. You want to give yourself the opportunity to race the later stages, rather than spending everything early and simply surviving the finish. And at this point in the week, the fitness work is essentially done. You're not going to suddenly transform your fitness between now and Sunday, but you absolutely can make yourself unnecessarily tired. So keep things controlled this week, arrive fresh, and trust the training you've already done. Good luck to everyone racing at Bottle Lake Forest. Now get the weekly Hub in your inbox. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to keep up with the New Zealand Half Marathon scene each week, You can also get the Half Marathon Hub Weekly delivered directly to your inbox every Monday. It's completely free. Each edition brings together the latest New Zealand half marathon results, races coming up around the country, practical training advice, workouts, and coaching insights. You can sign up through www.halfmarathontraining.co.nz. The link is down in the description. And that's it for this week's Half Marathon Hub Weekly. Congratulations again to everyone who raced at the Otago Ale Trail, to Miro, Tussle, Woodbourne Half Marathon, and the Sri Chinmoy Auckland Series. Good luck to everyone heading to Forest Run Fest in Christchurch this weekend. And remember this week's coaching message: control. Control the intensity of your training. Understand why you're running at level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4, or level 5. And when your half marathon becomes difficult, bring your attention back to the things you can actually control. You don't need one heroic workout to become a better runner. You need the right training, performed at the right intensity, consistently over time. And you don't need every kilometre on race day to feel good. You need to keep making useful decisions when it doesn't. I'm Coach Ray from Quick Kiwi Coaching and www.halfmarathontraining.co.nz. Train smart, train consistent, enjoy your running, and I'll catch you next Monday on the Half Marathon Hub Weekly. Ka kite anō.